So the legend Ninth Wonder drops major truth bombs about today's youth and the consumer. Now, Ninth made an appearance on The Breakfast Club with Ruben Vincent, who actually was at Trees with him. Dope young artist. He made some key points about the balance in today's music landscape and how the younger generation relates to music. And I think he was spot on because we tend to overlook things as we are, the older generation. So I want you guys to watch this video of him talking about his approach as a professor and what he's seeing from the youth as it relates to today's music, the difference between what we like versus what they like.
First of all, artists shouldn't be afraid. A lot of artists are afraid to try. They rather do what they think will work instead of running a marathon. But I also believe we cannot get lost on the fact that there is a generation of kids, young adults, that want to hear what you're talking about. They want to hear it. It's out there. Like, I see them all the time. I see them in my class. So now you're dealing with the generation that's the offspring of Generation X. So now what are we playing in our cars, right? We're playing all of these classic records and they're picking it up when they're very young and taking it on. You know what I mean? So we can't assume there's a generation of kids that don't want to hear it. It may not be as big as this generation of kids that want to hear this over here, but it's there.
I think that's he's in a very unique position being a professor, someone that can get a chance to touch the youth and be able to talk to them on a daily basis and hear their opinions. So the question I would pose would be, would hip hop be in a better space if some of the OGs or the older participants in the culture took the Ninth approach? As opposed, when I say opposed, that's fine. As opposed to the younger generation is trash. I don't like NBA Youngboy. I don't like this. I don't like that. Ninth didn't sound like that. He said they want to listen to this, but don't alienate the group of youngsters that want to listen to this. He has a balanced approach to it, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay. And I think that would be more beneficial to hip hop if more older people took that approach, is what I'm saying. What do you guys think about that?
As somebody who is in those spaces, I would say, yeah. And it's something that I've had to kind of learn throughout time a little bit, to be a little bit more open every single semester. I mean, I don't teach at the capacity that Ninth does, because I think he teaches a hip hop class, but I teach young music producers. Yeah. At a collegiate level as well, right? For sure. And they all come in, and you'll always get new people to come in. Like, the big thing this semester was Jersey Club was really big. And it's, and some of the stuff is, it challenges me on a regular basis, because it's like, why do you like this music that sounds like it's distorted and it sounds like it's not mixed well at all, and it's called Jersey Club, and if you played this in a club, it would sound like shit. So help me understand why you like this, and so I think I have to regularly come at the youth, if you will, from a perspective and an approach of like, tell me why you like it. What's the application for it? And from there, it's just like, all right, cool. And then if it's for me, it is what it is. And I think you can translate that to your interactions with all people that like all different types of things. So,
for sure. I kind of see it as, I don't mind the youth and younger cats liking what they like. I mean, we've all been there. We've all enjoyed, the music that we liked at the time. It might have kind of changed with the time. My whole thing is, as long as people appreciate where it's came from and where it's going, and have an appreciation for the people that pretty much held the torch before you or before your generation started making this music, it doesn't bother me at all. And I think what kind of happened was a lot of the OGs weren't taking the youth under their wing musically. And we kind of see that here when we talk about the Indiana Black Expo. Even that, it's like people don't want to get out of the way, and they don't want to pretty much usher in a new energy. So they kind of just hold them to the side until they need it. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like as long as the youth want to and care about the sounds that pretty much got it to where it's at now, I'm good with that. You can like and enjoy whoever you want to listen to, as long as you know where this particular style of music and energy and and about how people produce things back in the day. As long as you have that appreciation for it, I'm good.
I think with that too, I'll have this caveat and then I'll get out the way, but I think also the onus is on the older generation
It absolutely
to
is.
teach that to the youth.
Mhm.
And so if the youth of whatever doesn't have that appreciation, that is a failure
Yes,
from not them.
exactly.
You know,
Yeah,
so
that's the reason why I kind of brought up it was the OG's fault, essentially, as far as not kind of taking them under their wing and showing them this is where we came from, this is what we did. Now,
this is why we do it
this
this
is why
way.
we do it this way. You can do it how you like, just have an appreciation for where it came from.
I think Ruben Vincent is, I don't want to say a one-off because I know there are more kids out there like him. But if you watch this interview, he talks about how his mom used to, like Ninth mentioned that Ninth and his mom are the same age. And he talked about what albums that is All Eyes on Me, my dad used to play that. He talks about it, what his uncles used to play, what these people used to play. So that kind of molded him to go down a rabbit hole. He talks about going to YouTube and learning about Tribe and all the rest of this stuff. So I think sometimes he be one of those ones that's a little different because maybe he did the homework after being presented what was what. Everybody's not going to necessarily do that. So it might be more work for the OG if someone is not that receptive to, you know, what actually was going on. I thought that was dope that he talked about his history of what he heard that made him get to it. Now, Ninth still has to do his job to bridge the gap to Lone's point. You do what you got to do and make sure you understand what's what. But it probably was a little bit easier because Ruben had already started to do a tad bit of the homework. Is that fair to say? Do you guys see where I'm coming from?
I can dig that. But too, we have to, too, from our point of views, we have to realize that when we started getting hip to and listening and being fans of hip hop, it was a subculture. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't something that was readily available. It hadn't been around forever. So like, I feel like at least with my personal experience with it, me listening to those sounds made me kind of want to know where it came from and led me down to other musical paths as well.
I would agree.
That's just my experience with hip hop, with it being a subgenre.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it led me to other things. And I feel like nowadays I know it's the most popular art form musically.
Right.
So they don't have that same experience with hip hop that we had. And I feel like we kind of take that for granted a little bit by not showing them the ropes.
So what do you guys think that has happened? Because my 2 cents is I like Ninth's approach. I think it's great. As I've gotten older, man, like shitting on the youth isn't where it's at, dude. Like it's, you know, people like what they like. And when I was young, I liked shit that, you know, probably isn't considered great, you know, at the end of the day. And you know, some people I've come to find too that, I mean, didn't take that long to figure this out, but people listen to music for different reasons too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like some people just like to party, man, you know, and that's why they listen to the music, you know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with that. That's not why I listen to, or the only reason I listen to music. I mean, we all have our own appreciations for it because we've chosen to find out, you know, through digging and learning more and more about hip hop and then finding out where it's from and then, you know, digging into those songs. Yeah, I think a lot of, you know, all of us in this room have an appreciation for other types of music as a result of learning more about hip hop, right? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
But no, man, I mean, you know, people can like whatever they want, but my question would be, why do you think that that's happened in hip hop? Why do you think there is this gap?
I think there's
where people weren't maybe put on game when they were younger. Why is that fewer and far between than we're saying we would like to see?
I think because it's always been said that hip hop is a young man's game, and what people gravitate to winds up getting old quickly. We can always see that. I don't care what era you go through, you know. A lot of times when we think about, especially when we were younger, our favorite artists, we looked at them as like they were adults and they were up all the way up here, you know. But when I'm, you know, a huge fan of Big Daddy Kane, when I'm 12, I didn't realize he was only 19.
Right.
You know,
yeah.
I didn't, you know, by the time, you know, a group like the Fat Boys were already considered passé and their run was over, they had just turned 18, 19 years old, you know, and I think sometimes we're just so willing to move on to the next thing that, you know, we don't give anything a chance. It's so hard to try to say, oh man, you should check this out. I mean, like, oh, those guys who wore the gold chains and the high top sneakers, like that's not what we're doing right now.
Right.
You know, but I also think that like one of the things that Lone said is like, you got to find out why people like things. You know, nobody, when I was, you know, in high school, it's not like anybody was asking me like, well, why do you like Wu-Tang Clan? What is it with the kung fu noises? And you know what I'm saying? Nobody asked me.
I've never been asked that.
You know, it's like, why are you gravitating towards that? I mean, because I can understand even people who liked hip hop. You know, I think it was Ed Lover when he first heard, you know, Wu-Tang and Protect Your Neck. He's like, I don't know if I get this. And he said the same thing with DMX. He's like, all that barking and shit, like, I don't get it. You know, like, but you know, sometimes you can just be behind, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. Like, it's like when people turn on every year. I see these, you know, when I go down social media when it's the BET Awards. And people are like, I don't know these artists, and who is this? And it's like,
you're supposed to.
I'm 48 years old. you know, there was a time when that BET Awards first hit. You know, it's been what 20 something years, and I guarantee you, if I watched with my parents, they'd be like, well, I'm just going to wait till they do the Lionel Richie tribute, and then I'm going to turn this off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just think there's this thing to where everyone wants to be centered. And whatever they think, whatever they're into is the center of the universe. Yep. And you have to understand that once you get a certain age, that's just not true anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
it's really never true.
Well, no, it's never true. But like, you know,
you're at your most like, what's the term I want to use? I don't know. Like your head's pretty far up your ass when you're that age.
Yeah. True,
you know?
True. But you know, you know, my godson, like he loves 21 Pilots. And, you know, last week he went to go see Playboy Carti, you know, and
that's
you know,
cool to like that. What kind of
you know,
wide
and
range
he also likes this rapper out of New York named Lil Tecca. Like, you know, I'm not sure if I get to see him this holiday, you know, season or whatever, but you know, I like to every once in a while text him and find out what he's listening to, you know, not because of anything else. Of course, it's my godson. I want to stay tapped in with him, but also it's because I'm like, man, what's going on out there? Like, what is it I'm missing because I'm in my 48-year-old bubble?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think instead of just saying, that's trash, here, you need to listen to Things Fall Apart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you know, by the Roots. Now, mind you, he's been receptive. I remember I sent him, I said, hey, man, there's this guy named Jay Dilla. And, you know, he's a drummer and he wants to get into producing. I say, you should check him out.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but you know,
you find the caveats that connect to what they already like. And then you kind of piece the history in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. I'll never be like, man, that's trash. Even like you know, because I just don't, it might be something I just don't get. It's not something that has shaped any part of
some of the stuff is trash.
Some of it is trash. There's no wrong. I mean, but you know, a lot of the stuff, there was stuff in 1993 that was trash.
Spoolz.
Yeah. Sure.
Ask that question again. You remember
what is it about hip hop, or what is it, you know, we always reference you know, there's gap.
Yeah.
Right? Like what's caused that gap?
To me, I think a big part of it is accessibility, because music is so accessible now. Like, you can literally listen to something and there'll be 35 albums that drop tomorrow or the next week or whatever. And as a result, when we were kids, we had to spend time with those records or do the homework, liner notes, all that type of stuff, because there was nothing else to look at.
You think like almost technology has played a role?
I think technology plays a huge role in terms of how close we get to music now, because you don't have to get attached to anything because there's so much stuff coming out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can like what you like, but there was an attachment to when I bought Wu-Tang Forever.
Right.
I was attached to the CD, 2 CDs, double CD. I was attached to it.
Do people listen to things for like 2 years anymore?
No, people don't listen for 2 weeks.
They're ready for the new thing to come out.
And it was like $25.
It depends. It depends. Like the kids I know, like it depends if they really like it or not.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just like us.
Yeah, I don't.
You know?
I'm genuinely asking these questions, and they're not. Yeah. I'm not trying to lead in any certain way. Like I just think
I don't know. I think accessibility goes into the equation. I'm not going to say that's the only reason.
It does.
But I think it goes into the equation.
Yeah, I think it's very important too. But the advantage that you have, Lone, is you're actually teaching kids that are interested in music as a whole.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So they're going to be more receptive to wanting to know what you listen to, what was your experiences and your influences, so to speak, versus a kid that just listens to music to be listening to music.
Mhm.
That's the other piece.
Yeah. So like the thing I was saying about the subgenre situation is hip hop was new.
Yeah.
At that point in time. So like it made us, or me again, want to know the history of some of these sounds that were being made and came up with versus nowadays, again, it's the most popular genre. So I feel like it doesn't lead them down that same path.
It's been done
because it's all they know is hip hop now. So like it doesn't really matter as far as a history to them. Now it's important,
Right.
but without somebody OG or older kind of directing them in the right direction, then it's not going to matter as much.
I think I'll give Lone peace from this standpoint. Terry makes a good point about youngsters coming into the door wanting knowledge, right? So when they come take your class, obviously there was something made them sign up for your class, right? So
parents,
cool, but the parents saw something in the kids to make them get to you.
Sure.
Right? So when they get to you, even though they're interested in what you teach, Lone still has a responsibility to not cheat them. You see what I'm saying? Like you can just have a whole bunch of kids that are inspired about coming to do production or whatever and not give two shits about it. The responsibility is on him to make sure he pours into them. That's what I love about what he does.
If he wants to be a good educator.
Exactly.
For sure. Which I'm sure he is. Yeah,
he cares.
I know he is because he taught us. Remember?
Exactly. He cares to his point, to my point that we're talking about the OGs or whatever that we mentioned earlier. He cares enough to make sure he pours into them. That is the difference. Because you get a lot of kids just take the class to go through this and they're done with it. He actually pours into them. And I think those are the situations that make it different.